What's going on, everyone? Welcome to probably what's one of my most requested videos, and that is how to calculate your macros based on whatever goal you're going for, either losing body fat or trying to put on size. Now, the whole process of calculating your macros and sorting your calories and everything like that can be quite complicated. I want to try and make the whole process as easy and as simple as possible. So I'm going to go in stages that we're going to follow just to try and knock one notch off at a time to get to that end game of what calories, what protein, carbs and fats you need to be taking to get to your goal. First off, I just wanted to briefly explain what is this whole macro thing that everyone keeps going on about. Macro is basically short for macronutrients, as some of you may know, and macronutrients are basically protein, fat, and carbs, and these are the three main things that make up the big calorie bubble. Okay, so in terms of proteins and carbs, 1 gram of protein or 1 gram of carb equals 4 calories, okay? And 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. So that allows us to kind of have a foundation and a base to create your overall calories on. To kickstart this whole process, what we basically need to do is establish maintenance calories. And by maintenance calories, I mean the amount of calories that you will consume in a day that your weight will stay exactly the same. So you will not lose body fat, but you won't gain body fat either, okay? There are a few different ways in which we can calculate this. Firstly, we can do it through a BMR, so base metabolic rate. There's quite a few calculators out there, so if you're not familiar with it or you're not sure of the exact calculation, I have a link down in the description box that will take you to a page that I've used in the past. You just fill out all your information and that will give you your BMR. Another way that we can basically calculate our maintenance calories is I work in kilos in terms of a weight, so to times your body weight by 22. Okay, if you're working in terms of pounds, you'll times that by 10, your weight in pounds by 10. Once you have that magic calorie number from your BMI, or times in your full body weight by 22 if you're working in kilos, or 10 if you're working in pounds, we need to multiply that number that you've got by an activity level. And what I mean by that is how active you are, not just in terms of how many times a week you go to the gym, but what you do for a living. If you're sat at a desk, you have a low activity level. If you are working on a building site and you're moving, you're carrying wood around all day, you're in a high activity level job, you will go higher. So in terms of an activity level, we have 1.3 to 2.2. Basically, this is where you will look at that bracket from 1.3 to 2.2. Where will I sit on that scale? Okay, if you're in a desk job, go like 1.3, 1.4. Okay, if you're in an extremely high demand job in terms of activity, go 2.2. I generally sit around the 1.8, 1.9. So for the purposes of this video, I've gone 1.8. So get your number, that nice calorie number, and times it by the number that you think relates mostly to your lifestyle. And let me just explain right now before we start to get into all the protein and all that type of stuff, there is no amazing foolproof way to get the best diet straight away, or the best calorie macro split, anything like that straight away. It's about creating a foundation, which we're doing right here, okay? And then manipulating that depending on how the body is reacting. Everyone reacts differently, so everyone is gonna have slightly different macros. But what this is all designed to do is to get you started. Get that base level foundation, and then we can build on it. All right, so we have our maintenance. I basically timed my weight, which is 85 kilos, by 22. That gave me 1,870 calories. And then I chose 1.8 because I thought that best determined my activity level from day to day. And that got 3,366 calories. Now we have that nice big maintenance calorie number. We basically want to direct that towards a particular goal. So if you want to lose body fat, you're basically going to grab that number and subtract 500. If you want to go into a bulk or put on weight, then we want to plus 500. Okay, so relatively easy concept, and then that's going to create the number that we're going to actually work with in terms of calculating our protein, fats, and carbs. So if we're looking at my specific goal, I want to put on weight. So I'm going to grab that 3,366 plus 500, which takes me to 3,866. Getting into the juicy stuff, what protein, carbs, fats, all that type of stuff do I actually need? So I always start off with protein. And the way we calculate this is a gram or grams per kilo of body weight. Now the bracket that I find is best for me and what I have prepped myself on in all my competitions is 2 to 3 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. Now you'll go to the low end if you are not a massive fan of protein or it's not a big staple in your diet, and you'll drift towards more of the high end if it is, okay? I generally say I do like my protein. It is generally high, so I'll stick around to 2.8. So what I basically want to do is I want to go 85, which is my body weight, times 2.8, which then comes out around 240 grams. So that's the amount of protein that I will be consuming on a daily basis. Now you have that number, write it down. We're going to jump onto fats. Now, in terms of calculating your fat, this is a little bit different to protein. I base it on a percentage calculation. So you want your fats to make up around 15 to 25% of your entire daily calories. Okay, so if, again, exactly the same concept of protein, if you feel like fats is something that is relatively high in your diet, or like fatty foods like peanut butter and all that types of avocado, they're foods that you really enjoy, you'll want to go to the high end. So you might want to start at say 20-25% of total calories being fat. If you're not a massive fan of fats and you prefer more carbohydrates, then you're going to go to the 15-18%. So in terms of total fats for me personally, I'll generally go around 65 grams. Now I have my total protein and my total fats. What I want to do is I want to find the calorie value of both those combined. Okay, so I've got my 240 grams of protein and my 65 grams of fat. Now I have to look back and go, okay, 1 gram of protein is 4 calories, 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. So to find out those, I times 240 by 4 and 65 by 9, and that gets me 1,545. When we're talking about carbohydrates, we're basically just making up the remainder of our daily calories. We've already calculated our protein, we've already calculated our fat. What is left is carbohydrates. Now to find out my carbohydrates, I want to get my big nice calorie number here. So that's the 3,866. That's basically my bulking calories. And I want to take away the protein and the fats, which is 1,545. And that number comes out at 2,321. So then I get that 2,321, divide that by 4, gives me 580. So I'm going to be having 580 grams of carbohydrates. So then if I add 580, 65 for fats, and 240 for protein, if I add all those up in calorie value, it will come out at my nice 3,866. So you might be thinking, what the hell do I do with all these numbers that I've just come up with here? Basically, you can either use this for flexible dieting, you know, if it fits your macros types of things, or you can do my kind of avenue, and that is creating a relatively structured meal plan based on those numbers. Those numbers are basically just giving you a good foundation in terms of, you know, that the food you are putting in and the amount of food that you're putting in is working towards your goal. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If it was a little bit overwhelming or you didn't get all of it, please just follow the link down in my description to my website. I've got a little bit more of a detailed article on the actual calculations and things like that, so you could kind of just read through that a little bit and get a better understanding of what the calculations are actually calculating and how to get all your maintenance calories and calculate your protein and all that type of stuff. But I hope it was beneficial for everyone. As I said, it is one of my most requested videos, so I hope it helps. Please give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in next Wednesday's video. Cheers, guys.
know a sad soul. I know a sad soul.